Hello and welcome back to the Preneur Podcast. The first thing I want to talk about are some tips I've learned from my business. I have not been doing my business for a super long time. I've been tracking it. I've been doing it for about maybe 40 days, 41 days. I think that was the last video I made at the time of recording this. But the first lesson I learned was not actually from doing it, but talking to my father about it. He was saying how he believes that when I'm reaching out to businesses, I should be doing it not I should not be trying to sell. I should be trying to ask questions and get advice. And he said this is really helpful because people are are kind of conditioned to think, hey, I'm going to help this person, especially if it's a younger, less knowledgeable person, if they need help. And so he says that people will respond to you a lot more if it's one, personal, and two, it's a young person asking for help. And so that's something I'm going to try and do. I think it's going to work, and my plan is make it somewhat clear to the businesses I'm reaching out to that I want to work for them, but I am not trying to sell them on it. I'm trying to tell them about my business model, but ask for advice, which I think is going to be more helpful, because if you think about it, more people will buy your product or service or get involved with whatever you're doing if they know you or have had some interaction with you, right? A random stranger does not want to get into business with me because I am nobody to them, and I have not even showed them this is what my business is. And so doing this is going to have much higher conversion rates when I want to sell. I think doing this is really going to help. I've made like a spreadsheet of what I'm going to talk about. That's going to be where I get the businesses and all this. And I'm not saying this is not going to be grunt work. This is going to be a lot of finding the businesses, finding the people who I need to talk to. Most often, head of marketing and sales. Just for those who don't know what my business is, I am going to be providing social media managing services to Instagram for market research businesses. I know I should be working with other businesses, but in the end, right now, I'm only working with on Instagram because that's what I know, and it's better to learn one social media platform at a time and get really good at it and somewhat master it than to try all these different things, provide all of it at one time, and then just not provide anything good. And so I think that's very important right now. And I can work on another social media platform later. I've started reading a book called Cashvertising. Cashvertising is pretty much the psychology behind marketing. I'll put a picture of it up here. I don't know where I'll put it, but it's a very interesting book. It's pretty much the psychology behind marketing. I've read the first chapter of it. I've actually read a few chapters of it, but I'm kind of getting like the main points from each chapter, and I'm gonna like talk about them. So this week I've only done one chapter. Next week I may do 3 or 4. I don't know. It's really up to how much I do, how busy I am. It is the summer and I'm out of school, and so I don't have school, and so I have a lot more free time. So I should be doing more. But knowing me, I'm a procrastinator. So. But anyways, so the lessons from Cashvertising are: 1, people only care about themselves. People only care like, what do I get out of it? And it makes sense because by nature we're selfish beings, and that's what's made us survive over thousands of years. And so if we can get in tuned with this idea that we're not marketing for ourselves as marketers, but we're marketing for the customer and we're marketing for them, that's going to be way more much better for these for marketing towards these customers. And think about it, like, what have you bought that has come from an ad? Has it been about the product? Has it been about, whatever you bought? Or is it about you? Is it about what are you going to get out of it? And look at all these massive you know businesses and companies. Look at their campaigns. They don't even really talk about the business. They talk about what you get from the product. They talk about what you get from the service, whatever they're selling you. And it's actually very smart, and it makes a lot of sense. Just so you know, I have a computer here, so if you see me looking down at the computer, that's because I have my notes on it for this podcast. The second thing is they're like 8 life forces. I don't have them right here with me, but I can put them up on the screen here. So yeah, let's put them up here. And pretty much these forces are the driving factors of why we do a lot of things. So you'll see it's like the need to survive, the need for, sexual pleasure, things like that, a lot more like urges and things that we naturally have, right? Like we have these tendencies that we just have that have actually let us survive for a long, long period of time. It's just our nature. So if we as marketers can also tap into that, then we can get a lot more. We can get a lot more conversions because we're talking to the things that we can't really control as human beings. There was also a part of the book that was about an author who had written many, many short little books that he about many different topics. And so what he did was he would write a book and have a certain title, and then he would market that title. And if that title didn't convert, or if that book or ad didn't convert well, he would change the whole ad because it was only the title. And what he would do is he would change the whole title of the book, because he understood that if these ads are not converting, that the title of this book is not enticing enough. So that's very interesting, because it showed, hey, look, this didn't do well, so I changed it. And I think that's something that all advertisers can look at and say, if this person can change the titles of their books and get to 200 million sales of all their books over their lifetime, then we can change our ads and make it so then we really aim towards these, especially the 8 life forces and the selfish nature of humans. Then he listed off secondary wants. These are like things that we learn. So you're not born with the want for money or wealth, because that's a major one. And so you're not really born with the want of eating really extravagant foods, right? And so it's a lot more of like, what do you learn to kind of want? And so if you can tap into those, it won't be as effective, or it won't be as strong of nature to tap into, but it will still be very strong, to a strong argument and a strong reason. Oh, you should buy this because of this reason, right? It's gonna be way more enticing than just saying, oh, well, look at all these features that we have, look at this and that, look at how amazing the home is or the car is. Then he mentioned the step-by-step kind of thing you have to do in your ad to convert a lot of people into buying your product. So it is tension, desire, and an action to satisfy that desire. So in 10 or 15 seconds, even less if you're advertising in print, you have to say, this is why you need it. You have this problem. You kind of have to tell them. You have to force it onto them and be like, this is your problem. And then you have to say, and this is the desire you get from that tension. and then you say, hey, look, we have the solution to that. We're going to give you this solution. And again, it makes sense. If you're giving a problem and solving it immediately, you seem like the smart person. You seem like the person who is going to save all the problems, and you're going to seem kind of like the hero. And then finally, he said, when you're trying to describe something, make it very, very descriptive. So if let's say you're trying to talk about a company that sells chocolate, you don't just say, oh, you'll enjoy the chocolate. You'll describe like the taste of it, the sensation, the kind of desire and want you have of eating it before you even get the chocolate. You talk about the smell. You talk about how it makes you feel. You talk about all these different things. And that will create a visual picture and kind of scene when you're trying to sell this, and when you're talking about what it gives, which is actually quite smart because we think in pictures. So he gave an example of someone who was paying off their student loans by real estate investing, and so he gave this very descriptive kind of spiel, like 3 sentences worth, about kind of kicking up your feet and laughing at the government's face in a big, large leather chair, and enjoying the rest of your life in wealth. And he said, this is probably not going to happen. But this image and this imagery really gives you an idea of what you want out of it. Kind of a, not false promise, but over-promising in visuals. What I've kind of realized about marketing is that marketing is a lot of psychology. I bet like the best psychologists are also the best marketers. Kind of look at Jordan Peterson, right? He's not a marketer. He's not anyone really talented in that field, but he has somewhat marketed himself to be some very intelligent figure, and he is. I'm not saying he isn't, but he has really marketed himself as someone who just talks about these controversial opinions, and I don't really know how to describe it, but he has marketed himself so well that he's grown a following of like 5 million people on YouTube. So, and I feel like if you go to a psychologist instead of like head of marketing of a business, you may get some better tips. Now, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that this is going to actually happen, but I feel like that marketing is psychology, and if I want to learn about marketing in university, I'll also take a psychology course. Now let's talk about a major worry that people have. Do I think a recession is coming? I have no clue. Like, there probably is some dip in the market. There already is. But do I believe that it's going to affect us in the long term? Yes, if you buy investments and assets for the short term. But do I feel like it's going to affect us in the long term? No. When I start investing, I'm going to start investing for the long term, for retirement, so 45, maybe 50 years from now. And so this little dip in the market in a quite a long period of time is not going to affect me over 50 years. So, yeah, they don't last forever, so it's not something I'm worrying about. So that was this week's podcast. I know it's not that long, but next week I'll probably try and I'll figure this out a bit more. I'll be a bit better with my words, and I won't be using filler words. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Go check out my TikTok. It's called the Paneercast Clips, and I'm just posting things that I feel are very important to talk about on that page. And so, I'll see you guys next week.